on, people? All right, let's talk about this Miranda issue case where everybody's saying that the court overturned Miranda. So, this is the case that they're talking about. I won't even try to pronounce the names. Vega versus Tiki, whatever. So we have the counsel, and here are the facts of the case. Terrence worked as a patient transporter in a hospital in Los Angeles. After a patient accused him of sexual assault, hospital staff reported the allegation to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Deputy Vega went to the hospital to ask some questions, take a statement. Although the parties describe vastly different accounts of the nature of the interaction, it is undisputed that Vega, the cop, did not advise the suspect of his Miranda rights prior to questioning and taking his statement. The suspect was arrested and charged in a California court, but a jury returned a verdict of not guilty. Following the acquittal on criminal charges, Tiki sued the cop Vega under 42 of 1983. And this section is basically civil. If you want to look that up, it's a civil action for deprivation of rights. Okay, so he sued the cop. Remember, cops have limited immunity unless they violate civil rights. Then they can lose their immunity and they can charge. But again, limited immunity means you can't, when I said charge, it shouldn't be charged, it'd be suit. Limited immunity is only for civil court, not criminal. They have to be separate. People hear immunity and they think they can't be charged with a crime. They are different, okay? So, by taking a statement first without advising him of Miranda rights, based on the district court's instructions, a jury found for Vega, the U.S. Trials Court appealed, vacated the verdict, and reversed the decision. So, what happened is the suspect sued the cop for violating his rights for not reading his rights because he got arrested and had to go to trial. Well, it wasn't the cop that put him in trial. It was the DA that decided. So he should have sued the DA. But the cop was an easier target, or maybe it was easier win. The cop just arrested him. But he sued the cop because the cop actions of not reading him his rights, which he said he would have invoked, which we don't know, meaning he wouldn't have been arrested, which we don't know. So what the court ruled here is that, and first of all, let's get what Miranda is. Miranda is what you must tell somebody to ensure that they understand their right to remain silent. Okay? Who thinks you have to read everyone you arrest your Miranda rights? Raise your hand. Put your hand down, you big dummy. You don't. Okay? Who thinks you have to arrest or you have to read people their rights if you start asking them incriminating questions? Put your hand down. You're wrong. You only have to read rights when you have custody and interrogation. Custody is, I arrest you, I stop your free movement, you're in my custody. Interrogation is, I ask you statements of incriminating nature that would give me something I could use against you in court to convict you. Okay? So those are the two-prong tests for Miranda. So who thinks you have to read a lawyer their rights when you arrest them and question them about a crime? Raise your hand. Put your hand down, you big dummy. You don't have to read a lawyer their rights. A lawyer's been through law school. He knows his rights. I only have to read your rights to ensure you knew your rights. A lawyer can't claim, I didn't know my right to remain silent. He does know his right. He went to law school. He passed the bar. He's a lawyer. He cannot claim he didn't know his rights. Do you have to read a cop their rights? I would argue no. Most cops do it, but cops know what their rights are. They get trained on it. They have formal training in the academy on what your Fifth Amendment rights is, your self-incrimination rights, and you don't have to talk to government. Okay? So do you have to read a cop their rights? I would say no, you don't. You would be okay. Because he has to prove, I didn't know I had the right to remain silent. So when you don't read someone their rights and you take a statement and they're in custody, you have what's called suppression of evidence. You have a suppression hearing and the court says, hey, you took this statement without reading the guy's rights, therefore your statement is suppressed. Fruits of the poisonous tree. Anything that his statement led you to, if he says the dead body's buried here and you go find the dead body, you lose. You cannot use it as evidence. You can't use his statement, and you can't use anything the statement led you to. It's called suppressed. You cannot use it. That is the remedy when a cop does not read your rights. That didn't change. This is on the criminal side. If as a cop does not read you your rights in a criminal case, and you give a statement that goes against your penal interest and causes you to get convicted or is used against you by the DA, the judge will rule it is suppressed because you were not read your rights. Okay? This is the criminal remedy. Now, let's say I don't read your rights. You go to jail and you get out and you go, you know what? I'm going to sue you civilly because you didn't read my rights and it was my civil rights. The courts ruled in that, no, you cannot sue a guy for not reading your rights because there's already a remedy when cops don't do it. And the courts did not want to open up a new way of suing cops for not following the law. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do agree that if you allow people to sue cops, they will sue them for freaking everything, and you'll have a bunch of BS lawsuits. If a cop doesn't read your rights and they suppress everything, that's fine. The problem is you still have to go to court. You have to fight it. You have to defend yourself. You have to pay, and there's no remedy for the cop. So that's where I disagree with this ruling. But the courts did not overrule Miranda. The only thing they ruled on is you cannot sue a cop if he doesn't read you your Miranda rights. Does not mean that the cop gets to use your statement, that the court's going to allow your statement. None of that changed. Okay, so anybody that's out there running around saying, you know, Miranda was overturned, you can tell them they're full of crap. All right, we'll end that there.